Good
Hi,
morning.
Trenton.
Hello. How are you, Connor?
I am doing all right.
Good.
Yeah.
Better than sick.
Well, no, I'm still a little bit sick.
Dang.
Actually, I was working at Starbucks a few years back, and a guy came in while I was sick
Nice.
and was like, "You have a voice for radio." I know because I worked in radio for like 2 decades.
Beautiful.
But
So this is the perfect time for you to be making this, actually, is what you're telling me.
100%. Yeah,
It's also nice that he said you had the voice for radio.
and not the
It's
face for
normally-
radio.
Exactly. Normally it's the other one.
No, he was like, if there was any money left in radio, I would tell you to go into it. But there
Don't.
not money left.
Exactly. That boat has swam.
And I almost told him, well, thank you, but I'm a little sick today.
That would have been a good response, personally.
But I rang his order through, and then I went into the back room and I blew my nose.
Good man. Culture. Right there.
Anyway, welcome to Switching Reels.
Welcome to Switching Reels, everyone. Hope you are having a fantastic Wednesday.
We are both sick.
Yeah.
But
Me with a chronic cough and Connor, I don't know.
just getting over whatever I had. Far enough that I don't feel miserable anymore.
That's
And
very nice.
that's why I'm here. We did have this discussion, I think, on our last episode about how if you're sick, we'll still do an episode.
Exactly.
But if I'm sick, it's not happening.
See, I feel like I need to go and raise my constitution. I never thought I was a low constitution person, but like, apparently I am.
You are a high enough constitution person that if you're sick, it doesn't keep you from doing things.
That's true, but it probably is the reason that I stay sick.
That's fair. The moment I get sick, I shut down.
Yeah, you gone.
Like, this past week, I went into work when I was getting sick, and I couldn't even completely finish out the day.
Crazy.
And then I had 3 days where I was off.
Yeah.
So it was a day that I had intentionally taken off, and then the weekend.
Exactly. You were a zombie on Saturday.
Yeah. I was a zombie from Friday through Sunday.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
Monday came around, and I was like, okay, I can kind of be a person.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Happy holidays as well.
Happy holidays. Hope you aren't sick.
Hope you aren't sick. Yeah, holidays do that sometimes.
Yeah. So what did we watch today?
We watched Forge the Back Forge.
We watched Back to the Future. For those of you who are not willing to read a thumbnail title or
Connor over here
anything
just
similar.
calling out our audience because we do that a little bit too often on this show.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
number 31 on IMDb.
yep. What are your first impressions?
First impressions, pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that halfway through you were like, it's supposed to be a comedy. Because I was like, what is going on in this movie?
Yeah, I did get the feeling that you were disliking it for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. You got to make sure you correct that.
And so I was, yeah. I am, so I don't know if I've said this before on the podcast, but I feel like most of the time going into a movie blind is the best way to experience it.
Absolutely.
There are a very few specific movies, and we've actually gone through some of them where I'm like, it's best to go in kind of understanding what you're in
A
for.
little bit of knowledge.
What I was not prepared for was that I had to tell you that this was a comedy.
Yeah, that's pretty, like, normal, though, at this point.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't catch, like, I will understand the story structure of it and understand what the movie is trying to tell me. I will not tell you, or ever really currently be able to tell you what genre this is. Except for maybe Westerns for Seven Samurai.
Back to the Future 3 is your movie then.
Yeah! Okay, cool. I'll have to go and just watch these personally. And then,
I haven't seen Back to the Future 2 or 3 in a very long time.
nice.
So I'm going to bring them home, watch them again, and then I'll lend them back to you, and you can watch them as you feel inclined to.
Appreciate it. Love that.
I will say, watching this, I think this may have been our most fun movie so far.
Yeah, I think this was a very fun movie. Yeah.
Now, that feels weird to me because there are a lot of very fun movies that I really enjoy, and I didn't really
And this isn't one of them.
This one. People that know me in real life, like you, know that the 80s is kind of a weird spot for me.
Place. I don't think that you've ever said anything wrong about the 80s.
The weird thing is, I love a lot of stuff from the 80s. It's just all of the stuff that wasn't mainstream during the 80s.
Exactly.
I like hardcore punk and gangster rap and thrash metal and all of that kind of stuff, which was getting started in the 80s, but it was not the mainstream. The mainstream was this. The mainstream was Terminator. The mainstream was hair metal and that kind of stuff.
Hair metal?
Oh, yeah. Like,
is that where you turn your hair into metal? Is that where you turn your metal into hair? Is it a combination?
Trenton, sometimes you have to be faking.
Only sometimes, though.
No, hair metal.
Call it hair metal.
Hair metal was like the rock of the 80s. Like,
is it because of headbanging that it was called hair metal?
It was called hair metal because all of the guys that were in the bands had like long hair, and like that was I don't know.
Such a strange description.
It was
the 80s.
It was long, like luscious hair kind of thing. Like you think of Journey, right?
Okay.
That's quintessential hair metal.
Nice. Your favorite band?
Is it?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so the 80s is a weird time for me. As far as, like, obviously I wasn't alive during it, but as far as, like, my interaction with the pop culture, it was a weird time for me. I love the 60s and 70s. The 80s killed the 70s, and I will never forgive it for that.
Valid.
And then the 90s came along and was like, oh, all the optimism of the 80s, we killed that. We're depressed now. And so I love the 90s too.
Oh, the 90s were so depressed from what I even have seen. I was only 5 at the most 90s that I was.
The most 90s I was like 2.5.
Yeah. That's crazy. Beautiful. All right, so all of that aside, this was Back to the Future. It wasn't bad at all. I would say enjoyment was a 7 and technical was a 7. Mid-range of good.
I would say my enjoyment...
maybe technical was a little higher.
I would say my enjoyment's probably around a 6.
Oof.
Yeah, maybe.
It's heavy.
It's a light 6 to a strong 7.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wait, what?
Light 6 to a strong 7.
That's
somewhere
really
in there.
Wide range.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good.
Strong 6 to a light 7.
There you go. That's a much shorter range.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like it for some things, but I guess I can't say that I love this movie at any point.
Yeah.
I love some moments from the movie.
Totally agree.
But at no point can I be like, yeah, this movie just really speaks to my heart.
Yeah.
You know? And some of it might be nostalgia.
I was
right?
going to say that same thing.
And I don't know if we brought this up on the podcast before, but I do not have a nostalgic bone in my body.
No, you have a couple and you hunt them down to make sure that they can be imprisoned.
I mean, maybe that's the case.
Sometimes, like, there are moments where you have pieces of nostalgia and you're not sure what to do with it, which I love seeing.
What is that, like Star Wars?
Like I don't think it was Star Wars. There's one or two movies where you're just like, you know, I just like this movie, even though
I feel like that's like
oh,
pre 2003
see, I feel like it's
superhero movies.
oh, nice. That makes total sense.
And that has nothing to do with nostalgia, though, because I hadn't seen those movies when I was that age.
Yeah, you were 6.
Yeah. Like, I love Blade, right? Blade is a crazy good movie. That said, I did not watch it at a time when I was nostalgic for that.
No.
And I know that it's not actually great. I just love it.
That's fantastic.
And I think it's just because there's so much like focus on we wanted to make this as cool as possible.
Yeah, rule of cool always wins.
And even if it's not actually cool, the fact that you thought it was that cool
is why it's cool.
is why I enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Actually, okay. Did not think that this would be the podcast where this comes up. But there is a quote from Christopher Nolan that I heard at one point about the only time I feel like I'm wasting my time in a movie theater is when I think that the people making the movie on screen did not think that they were making the best movie of all time.
Oh.
So, like the idea that regardless of what you're making, if it's supposed to be like a schlocky superhero movie about a vampire hunter who is half vampire, if you are trying to make that the best movie of all time and you think that it is going to be the best movie of all time, I am still going to love it.
Yes.
Despite the fact that there are tons of problems with
it. Love that.
So yeah, like Blade, Hellboy, like all of those early 2000s, late 90s, like superhero comic movies, I adore them with everything I am.
That's fantastic.
And I did not watch them when I was a kid.
That makes complete sense. Nope, totally get that.
I watched X-Men a lot when I was a kid, but I don't remember it well enough to know if I actually like it now.
Just have to watch it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But I guess if you can't remember it, it's hard to have nostalgia for it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I will look back at things and I'm like, I remember thinking this was good as a kid.
Exactly.
I don't know if I still think it's good.
Not sure.
And that is why I say I don't have a nostalgic bone in my body.
That makes sense. Didn't we just cover this earlier? Off air?
You just said that I hunt down every nostalgic bone that I have.
That's true.
I don't think I have one. I don't think I'm nostalgic. And that is a weird thing because I think most people are.
For the next 8.5 years, we'll go through a journey of movies and see if you're nostalgic.
That's, yeah.
See if we can hunt down any nostalgic bones.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Again, I don't think we'll find them because the movies that I fell in love with when I was in high school off of this list.
We're old already.
We're already old.
That's
exactly.
Fantastic.
So,
see, I think we still just need to rewatch those though, because they can still have nostalgia, even if you didn't watch them when they were released. You know?
That's true.
Like
but
the
I feel
ancient Cinderella that everyone loves.
Wait, what ancient Cinderella that everyone loves?
The ancient like cartoon one.
Oh, wait, people love that?
Yeah. Yeah, Connor. Connor. We do. Come at us.
I am trying to hold back that part of me that used to just be like, if I don't think it's good,
it's not.
I will tell you that I don't think it's good. And you will have to deal with the fact that I have made a value statement about the thing that you love.
That's okay, actually.
I just didn't know that people actually love Cinderella. Like, I genuinely didn't know.
There's not knowledge that I had that could be possible.
So, that said, Back to the Future.
I was just going to remark on I see a wall up ahead, but we're not there yet, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Back to the Future, I will say, don't think it's as good as everyone remembers it being. And I will say that this is a movie that will live more fondly in your memories than in actually watching it most of the time.
That makes complete sense. I already have a couple of those.
Right. Like, even now I'm thinking, like, you know what? Despite all of the problems I had with it 20 minutes ago, there are still some moments that I really love from this.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think that's a large portion of its sort of staying power.
Yeah. I completely agree.
So,
I also did like most of the CG except for the hand thing. So we'll talk about that in a second.
yeah. Yeah. That said, if you dislike us, if you don't want to be subscribed, please subscribe.
We're trying to straight up reverse psychology on this one. Please let us know what you think in some way. We would love to hear you. I watch the email all the time. I have too many emails, so I watch all of them.
Do you just let them scroll?
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's a horrible idea.
I hope that you didn't miss that one.
Don't do that, Trenton.
Sounds like a good idea.
That is absolutely something you would code just for fun.
It would just be for fun, you know? Like, put up unread emails as they come in on my TV.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That sounds fantastic.
Because I know
it can
what
couple as bird TV.
I
for
know
my
what
cats.
I was gonna say. I know what your TV is set to at least 60% of the time.
Bird TV.
Minimum.
Bird
60.
TV. It's bird TV.
It's birds for cats.
It's birds for cats.
It's not bad to read in front of either.
No, it's not. It's actually not bad just to like sit and like, oh, there's some birds. I can see why the cats would like it.
Yeah. Anyway,
we're at the wall.
We're at the spoiler wall.
Woo! Okay,
All
we're
right.
jumping over. Woo.
Yep. Okay. There are some major problems with this movie.
There's a couple. Yeah. This is before like main
tonal problems.
Oh, I was gonna go science problems. So we'll go tonal problems first.
No, we can do science problems. Go.
Gigawatts. What the heck's a gigawatt? We're in an age and a time where we're up to terawatts. You can't just go and make up a new unit of measurement.
A gigawatt?
No, that's a thing.
Yeah,
it was already gigs. Like, even back then, we were talking about things in giga things and mega things and killa things.
But I feel like if you're talking about Doc Brown, the whole idea of him is that he is a mad scientist that does not interact with the rest of the scientific community.
Why does he use so many big words?
Because he's still a scientist that understands the science.
You just read the dictionary?
He just doesn't interact with the scientific community.
He's never things.
Okay. My wife was homeschooled.
Yes. I was homeschooled.
You were homeschooled. Your wife was my wife's sister.
Wow.
She was also homeschooled.
Very true.
You must have at some point run into the fact that homeschooled kids do not necessarily know how to say the words out loud that they know on paper.
Never happened.
Never happened.
No, I was an audiobook kid from the time I came out of the womb. I knew exactly how
I'm not talking about just you. I have heard your wife and I have heard my wife both say things that I'm like...
My favorite is Meisled.
Excuse me?
Meisled is such a good word. Anyone hearing the word Meisled knows what it means. It's not a real word. And my wife didn't know that until college.
For those of you who are not aware of this story, the word is misled.
It's misled, not Meisled.
Which has been...
She also knew misled was a word. Like, she knew that misled was a word, and she knew that Meisled was a word. And she would use both of them in different contexts. Like, Meisled is being like a little tricksy imp. And misled is misleading someone.
And And I have met people that she convinced Meisold was a word too.
Mm-hmm. She's very convincing.
She is. I'm not going to deny that, but
just go watch our last Christmas episode, which you'll see another one of soon.
Oh no. If Scrooged was anything to go, or not Scrooged, that's the Bill Murray one, just Scrooge.
Yeah, just Scrooge.
If that was anything to go by, this next year will be lots of fun.
Fantastic.
Anyway, my point here is you have a person that is interacting with these things in a vacuum.
Oh no, he could have pronounced it gigawatt like GIF, but GIF.
Yeah, exactly. He's interacting with these concepts.
Why is the first one a J? Anyway, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So yeah, I see.
Wow,
absolutely.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
He's just a Jiffer.
Oof. All right. I assume you had other science problems than him
Just
saying
that one?
gigawatt.
Yeah. Also, we should have said gigawatt. That's at least a funny one.
You all right?
Jiggle what? Jiggle that. Yeah, I don't know. Never mind.
I will not.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You're making me laugh too much on this one.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let me see.
It's to keep myself from talking.
88 miles an hour? That's very interesting as well. But
Yeah.
most of the time, the thing that I thought was really interesting was, this was before the now mainstream multiverse theory.
Yeah.
They were still just in the same timeline, you know?
Yep.
Such that what he did technically kind of created an alternate timeline, but they didn't call it that because he went back to a time that he never knew.
Right.
He has none of the memories. The person that left that time just so happened to still be friends with Dr. Brown.
Right. Yeah. That was...
Even though his entire life was completely different.
Yeah.
So...
That was something that... And I recognize that this is supposed to be more of a fun movie and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So... But no, this one was one where I felt like I was able to give it a little bit more leeway with this. Where I'm just like, you know what? When I watch Futurama and they deal with time paradoxes and things like that, I kind of just accept what they're doing because it's for the joke.
Yeah.
And so with this movie, I was like, I am accepting it because it's fun.
Yeah, and it is. It was a good time for it.
That said, if I really wanted to get into the paradoxes that he creates, they are insane. The fact that the parents he knows are the same parents that were together in high school.
Yeah.
When he gets there, means that the next time that he has to go back, when he has changed his parents, he's going to have completely different expectations for who they are.
It's going to be just a giant cascading weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of timelines. But again, we're not talking about timelines. They don't exist. There's one that we're just going to keep messing up or not messing up. Eventually, the timeline will be completely destroyed, but you won't care because you're not there.
Yes. By the way, back in our Forrest Gump episode, I mentioned the weird theory that Robert Zemeckis is racist. And that he keeps giving achievements that Black people have done throughout American history to white people.
Agreed.
This is probably the strongest example when he goes up and plays Johnny B. Good and Marvin Berry calls up his cousin Chuck and says, "Hey, you know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this."
Here it is. Ooh. I thought this... So who is that? The person? Because I thought this was a Spielberg movie.
Robert Zemeckis?
Mm-hmm.
Spielberg directed this. Or not directed, produced this.
Got you.
But Robert Zemeckis was the director of this as well as Forrest Gump.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So there is...
The theory does just get stronger.
It does get stronger.
Yeah.
But it is something where it's like, there's no way that the guy was actually thinking through, like, I can definitely take all of these achievements from black people and give them to white people.
I don't think this is an obvious bias, just a like weirdly strong subconscious bias.
Yeah. Yep.
Strangely pervasive.
But no, I do think that this movie is a lot of fun. I just don't necessarily... We didn't go over whether we think it should be on the top 250 list.
Oh, yeah.
I think whether it should be on the top 250 list is questionable, and it definitely should not be as high on the top 250 list as it is.
I feel like it's better than Terminator 1, which we recently watched. So, if Terminator 1 deserves to be on the list, this one deserves to be on the list.
Okay, that's fair.
My logic.
Yeah.
But not at 30.
Yeah.
It's not that much better than Terminator 1. And it's not, like, so close to being as good as Terminator 2.
Right, yeah.
As it is here.
Which... Not... So the next movie we're going to watch is Spirited Away.
Oh my gosh.
The one after that is The Pianist.
I haven't seen that one yet.
The Pianist is in my top 10 movies of all time.
And also, it's above Spirited Away. I guess we don't have enough weebs watching movies. Like, okay.
I have slightly controversial, not very controversial, but slightly controversial opinions on Spirited Away.
I'm excited for this, for the next week.
Mostly, I think that it is among the weaker Miyazaki films.
Oof.
That's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I think that it's brilliant in a lot of ways, but I think every Miyazaki film is brilliant.
Completely agree. So no, I don't think this should be... I really don't feel like it's as high. Like, it shouldn't be this high.
Yeah.
No.
I do think there are a lot of... This is a movie of moments.
Yes.
That a lot of moments in this are really, really great.
Really solid.
But as a cohesive film, it just doesn't quite
gel as nicely as you would like it to.
Yeah.
Though, like, going back and thinking about it in context, this is 85.
Yeah.
When did the first Star Wars come out? Obviously after this.
No, before this. Yeah, it was 79.
So,
I think they were most of the way through the trilogy. I don't remember when Return of the Jedi came out.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense. So, this one, I feel like the CG was actually, like, generally really good still. And
yeah,
I really liked a lot of the pyrotechnics. They were fun too. And the set design was nice.
Yeah.
And, like, technically, actually, I think this movie was higher than I gave it credit for originally. Not from the plot perspective or from the tonal perspective, or from we're making a movie perspective.
Okay, so
the spectacle is great.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll let you.
You're all good.
Okay. It's interesting that you brought up the plot, because when I was watching this time, I realized plot is really the only thing that this movie has going for it as like a through line.
Yes.
There is no character arc of the main character at all.
No, he doesn't change.
He is the same character from the beginning to the end.
Gets rewarded for going back in time.
Yeah. There is a very slight character arc for his dad.
Yep.
And that's it. His mom is the same character from beginning to end, except after she kisses him, she's like, oh, weird. I thought I would enjoy kissing you. I thought it'd be hot. But actually, you're like my brother.
Again, taking too much from Star Wars here, guys. Which I don't think we actually knew. No, we did at that point. We have Empire out, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, we didn't know that they were brother and sister
you're
in
right,
Empire.
Until Return.
Yep.
You're correct.
So. But yeah.
It just felt strange.
Yeah, like the fact that Marty doesn't really grow at all, he feels very childish through the whole thing,
The entire thing.
which, to be fair, he's supposed to be a teenager.
Yeah, 17.
I like to think that I was more mature than this at 17 years old. That probably wasn't the case.
In the 80s, more mature than he is.
In the 80s, I did not exist, so I'm going to say yes.
There you go. Well, I feel like by definition, since you didn't exist yet, you were more immature.
I think you could make a Schrodinger's argument here and say that I was both more mature and less mature at the same time.
We couldn't observe you, so feel whatever stage you wanted.
Yep.
It's going to get into some very meta conversations that we don't have time for. So you were saying tonally, though, this one feels a little bit weird.
Yeah. So, okay. The fact, number one, that halfway through the movie, I had to tell you that it was a comedy.
Yeah.
In order for you...
it just off the bat.
Yeah. That's part of it. The other part is that, like, even as a comedy, the fact that she's in love, or not in love, but infatuated with her future son isn't really played for laughs all that much. Like,
no.
There are some moments where
there is. Like her grabbing his leg.
That right,
was
yeah.
Funny.
Like,
a little bit of him leaving very quickly.
Like his reactions are sometimes played for laughs,
yes.
But the entire relationship is not.
And she does just feel like a reflection of whomever she's currently infatuated with, which only gets worse.
Yeah.
With like mom from the past and then mom from the future. And now her demeanor completely changes based off of the fact that her husband is different.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting to me.
But yeah, like there's that aspect of it. There's the fact that Biff basically turns into a rapist at one point.
Yep.
Like he goes from kind of bullyish through most of the movie, and like to that point he just like he's a little bit mean.
Yes.
And then he gets to that scene where he pulls Marty out of the car.
Yeah.
And is like, now I'm just a rapist.
Exactly.
Like straight up. Like there's no like hand waving you can really do there.
No.
And like that makes it stronger when George comes through.
Yeah.
And
fantastic.
Like
it's really good.
Saves the day. Like awesome. But still tonally it doesn't really play.
And this isn't tonally, but there's so many meaningless ramps at the end of this movie. Like when Marty is playing guitar and the random redheaded guy steals his mom.
Right, yeah.
We didn't need that. And then when the doctor is on the clock tower and trying to connect the snag thing, and it just like there's just so many different things that go on.
I will say with that scene, I did have a slightly different take on it. Just based on the fact that this time watching, in the opening credits, I saw one of his clocks had basically homage to a movie called Safety First, which came out in like 1930 something.
Nice.
Which is one of like the classic what are those slapstick comedies?
Nice. Okay.
And it's the one where the guy's holding on to the clock tower and it like starts falling apart and like he's trying to hold on and all that kind of stuff, but it keeps like breaking in different ways and that kind of stuff. So like I kind of saw some homage being played there and I was like, okay, I can forgive it for what feels sort of out of place here, but I think was somewhat an intentional homage.
That makes sense. I still felt
that might be.
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
There's so many things that go wrong that didn't need to go wrong. And also, Marty misses his entrance by like 15 seconds.
His entrance?
Yeah, like he's supposed to start the car when the timer goes off. And the timer goes off and the car isn't even on yet. And so it takes a hot sec for him to get to the point that the car is even moving again.
Yeah, that's true.
He should have missed the lightning strike.
Okay. I know that I said I wouldn't really get into this stuff because I understand that it's supposed to be a fun movie and that's the point. But this time going through, I could not get past the fact the car is powered by plutonium.
Yeah.
It does not take gasoline.
Yeah.
They made a very strong distinction between that at the beginning of the movie.
Very beginning. Technically, he did say it's electric.
He said it's electric. How is Marty getting this car to start? Why is he having trouble starting it and then getting it to start partway through?
Electric car. I promise. This isn't how this works.
Either he's out of electricity or he isn't.
Yes, that's how electricity works. It's not like we're just storing electricity in a vat of gasoline. Oh, whoops. Sorry. Like maybe there's a backup generator in the car.
How do they keep getting the car to where it needs to go?
Yeah, because he said the starter was bad, which is the reason that the original thing was. And starters start engines.
Yeah.
That's what their start.
That's what bothered me. It was not necessarily like the idea of him being able to get up to 88 miles an hour on this or anything like that. It's the idea that he keeps having trouble with starting the car.
Yes.
But he also is able to start the car.
Yes.
One of these doesn't fit with the other.
Especially if it's electric.
Ooh, yeah,
I completely agree.
I mean, but again, this is... And the other thing that I was thinking about with this is I can't think of a movie before this that was as dedicated to making it fun.
That's very true.
There are movies since this that I think are far more fun, but I don't think that I can think of one before this that was as heartfelt in its attempt to just be a fun movie.
Be a fun movie. Like, you could tell that. Like, at least partway through the movie, like, hey, I can't tell this is a comedy, but I can tell that you're not taking yourself seriously, and that's okay. Like, that's the purpose. So
right, yeah.
That was nice.
The 90s is when fun movies get really fun.
Yeah? Like what?
We'll watch Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, which are both by Guy Ritchie. Those movies are insanely fun.
That sounds fantastic. So good.
Yeah. There aren't really themes to go over in this movie. I mean, don't stand up for your woman, I guess.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Stand up to bullies.
Yeah.
Go back in time if you have the opportunity.
I feel like that's the theme you took from it. But I don't
think you test all of your experiments on your pet dog before anyone else.
Okay, yeah, that was messed up.
We had no idea Feinstein was going to survive this. No clue.
And he used a remote control.
Yep.
Like an RC
car.
He used his car as an RC car.
His car is an RC car.
Why is that not the cool invention?
Exactly. Your whole car is an RC car.
Do you know how many car accidents I would have caused by this age?
Exactly.
If my car could be an RC car?
So much missed opportunity.
I would like to put on the record that those accidents would not be intentional, but they would be a lot of fun.
But they would have been so fun. Did you ever play? There are those car games that, like, you got points for the bigger accident you caused.
I never played those.
Oh, they were so fun. I'm trying to figure out. They were like, oh, I can't remember. Maybe they're called Road Rash or something. But they were very good and very fun. And
were they like flash games?
No, like there were some on the PS3. I can't remember if there was anything past that. PS2 and PS3.
I know, like on the PS2, I played a lot of the like BMX versus ATV stuff.
Totally.
But you didn't get points for crashing. You got points for doing lots of tricks and then landing it.
Always good as well. Is it called Carnage? Road Rage? Road Carnage? I can't remember. I'll figure it out.
There was... Oh, Carnage is a game.
Yeah, but it's not about cars.
It is about cars.
Oh, it is about cars?
Yeah.
thought it
I
was
just
an
never
older
played
game.
it. It is an older game.
It was like PS1 and before.
I don't know how old it is. There was the other one that I heard it.
Burnout.
Burnout.
It was
Burnout. You got points for destroying other people's cars.
Yes, not your own.
Yeah.
But the more accident you caused from your own car, the more points you got, and it was fantastic.
So
good.
Thanks for listening to Switching Reels.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
As we talk about random video games from our childhood.
Completely not the movie.
Like Buzz Lightyear Space Command, which was the first game that I ever picked out.
I liked the TV series.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good TV series.
I saw a few episodes of it well after I played the video game.
It makes complete sense. I was just thinking of Monsters, Inc., the game on the PS1.
I played that at my cousin's house. They had it.
Nice.
I only had a Dreamcast. I jumped from Dreamcast to Xbox 360.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I've got a lot of missing knowledge in the middle there.
I had one of the PS1s that had the flip open TV in it. Like there was just a little TV built into my PS1.
Wild. They charge
so
like
good?
over $400 for that
now. Exactly.
You can bring your console with you, and you also get the screen.
Yeah, it didn't have a battery pack. You had to go and still like have it be charged on something. But
yeah, that's fair.
Like it was very fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
Anyway, this has gone completely off the rails.
Completely off the rails.
So I'm going to ask you.
What are we watching? Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Spirited Away, I have seen.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked to hear your slightly controversial opinions about it.
Yeah.
I've only seen it recently, though, like within the last year or two.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it was before we started the podcast. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I think it was probably after we started the podcast. But
really?
Yeah.
I am surprised by that because I just know from some of the other conversations we've had, like, my anime knowledge is a fraction of yours. I
love long anime.
I enjoy anime occasionally.
I love anime.
Like I'm
not 700 episodes into One Piece.
No, I'm reading One Piece because I can't stand the anime.
Yeah, that's valid. Live action was good though.
Live action was solid. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Nice.
But yeah, I am reading One Piece. I'm reading Berserk.
Nice.
I've seen Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen all of Cowboy Bebop.
And I've seen a portion of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Nice.
Oh, and I've also seen all of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
I have seen all of Naruto, though.
I have not seen any Naruto, and I've only seen like 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z.
And most of Fairy Tail. I haven't seen very many of Dragon Ball Z either.
Yeah, that one's weird to me because I know that a lot of people really love it.
Like, really, really like it.
But I haven't ever gotten to
the point
where like I'm hooked.
Exactly.
And I feel like I should have.
Me too.
Like most of the time. Okay. We're not even talking about Back to the Future now, but this is going in the podcast anyway.
Love it.
Most of the time with like anything aimed at kids, which Dragon Ball Z was pretty ostensibly aimed at kids.
Absolutely.
I feel like the entertainment value should be there immediately.
Yes, very fast.
Even if it's not something that's for me, I should be able to understand what is entertaining about it.
Absolutely.
That was not the case with Dragon Ball Z.
No.
And maybe it gets more interesting the further into it you get.
It does, you know? Like it has
I will say, of the 3 episodes, the second episode was more interesting than the first, and the third episode was more interesting than the second.
So it is ramping.
So it was ramping. I just didn't continue watching.
Sword Art Online was also very good.
I didn't watch Sword Art Online because I saw the first few episodes and everybody told me, like, after you watch those episodes, it's basically all downhill. And I'm like,
I liked the first season.
yeah,
The second season wasn't as good, and then when you got into the gun game, that was kind of fun. But
okay. Yeah. I like the concept of Sword Art Online a lot.
me too.
Also,
there's another one like that too. Log Horizon also.
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
good. They only had one season.
Right now, I want to see Blue-Eyed Samurai, which,
Nice.
from my understanding, is like a mixture of Eastern and Western animation.
Yeah.
And I have not heard a single bad thing about it.
Nice.
It's a Netflix original.
Yeah, I think I've seen some things for it.
Yeah, so I will definitely be watching that
Good.
soonish.
That sounds awesome.
Also, not an anime, but have you seen Primal?
No, I've heard pretty good things about it.
Okay. I will evangelize this show until I die.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Primal is about a caveman and a T-Rex that team up, and there's no dialogue because the caveman cannot speak,
Yeah, there isn't reason to
and
yet.
the
T-Rex
T-Rex
cannot
is
speak.
unable to speak.
Exactly.
And so everything is conveyed through like grunts and roars and all of that kind of stuff. But they are communicating very well for having only those options. And they are learning to survive in an extremely hostile environment.
I love that.
I only watched through the first season. There is a second season out.
Nice.
And I am excited to see it, but haven't gotten to it yet.
That's exciting.
Anyway.
Very cool.
Thanks for listening to our podcast about Back to the Future. And
tune in next week for us totally talking about Spirited Away. Thanks, guys. And gals.
Yep.
How do we end this?
I don't know.